Well, good morning. I thought I would start out today with a little bit of sanding. I want to sand both of these tables down, making sure that all of the ends are smooth and even, as well as the top, and to just sand away any of the excess glue. For most of this, you can use 120 grit sandpaper only. If you have some areas that are sticking out a lot that you really need to remove a lot of wood, then go to 60 grit sandpaper. Here's an example of an area that'll be easier to sand down if I use 60 grit sandpaper. The ledges on this lower shelf are gonna show, and I'd like to sand those down, but my sander doesn't fit in there. And if I come in at an angle, chances are it's just going to round over these edges. So what I like to do in situations like that is use this. It's just a piece of sandpaper that I've used spray adhesive to mount it to a board, and I trimmed it up and it works out great. I'll use this 1x2 to cut out some cleats to hold in the lower shelf. I need to measure those distances first. These cleats don't need to be exact, so I'm not going to bother setting up a stop block. But I can make them both the same length just by measuring out one. And cutting it slightly longer than that mark. Now with that piece on top, I can cut both pieces exactly to that mark. The shorter pieces are the same length as the width of a 1x3, and I will set up a stop block to cut these. I'll attach these cleats to this lower cross brace flush with the bottom. I think it's going to be easiest to do that if I tip this on its side. One screw on these little ones should be fine. Again, it's the glue that's doing all the work. Okay, now I can cut out the 1x3 slats for the lower shelf. I need to measure 2 different lengths for these slats. Most of them will drop down on these center cleats, but there's gonna be one on each edge too that'll fit on these little guys. But I don't actually have to use a tape measure to measure this out. I can take a piece of lumber and line it up and draw a mark where it goes. I've got my extension pins back in place so I can set up a stop block. I'll line my blade up with that mark I made and lock that in place. Now I can install a stop block over here and see how close I am. A little tight, so I just need to shave a hair off. I'd much rather start out with it being a little bit big so I have room to cut it down rather than cutting it undersized to begin with. What I'll do is just slightly loosen this clamp and just barely move this stop block forward. Let's give that a shot. There we go. Nice fit. And I've moved this stop block in a little bit so I can cut out the shorter pieces. I'll glue these slats in place, no screws necessary. I'll start with these 2 end pieces.